Hello everyone and welcome back. I thought I would hop on and give you an update on my £1,000 in a year savings challenge. What I then decided is that that would be a very short video, so I'm actually going to share with you everything that I've saved and invested this year so far, so the first 6 months of 2025. It will include the savings challenge and a little bit about how I'm doing with that, and it will also include all of my regular standing orders and direct debits into other savings and investment. Let's start with how much money do I actually have available to save and invest every month. So I make all of my money from some side hustles and online income, things like that. All the things that you see in other people's videos. I get a bit of money from this YouTube channel. I get some more from a vintage shop that I have on Etsy. I also dabble in Amazon KDP. I have another Etsy shop that's got some digital downloads in it, a tiny little bit of print on demand. I also have a membership over on Substack where I share bonus content, and I have managed to grow that income to just about enough money for me to live on. So out of that money that I make, I pay myself £1,100 a month. If you want to know more about how I manage my money and my budgeting, the video before this one I think is a budget video, so you might want to go and check that one out first. I have got all of my notes written in my notebook, and yeah, let's get going then. Let me share with you what I have managed to save and invest so far. We'll start with premium bonds. I pay £50 a month into premium bonds, which means that I have saved £300 into premium bonds in total so far this year. That works out at about, or it converts to about $404. I have invested £25 a month into an ISA account. That is an account that has like a tax wrapper around it. It's a tax-free investment account, and I save £25 a month into that, so there's £150 that I have paid in to that so far this year, which converts to about $202. I also have a LISA account, which is similar to an ISA but not exactly the same. There are some restrictions as to when and how you can withdraw your money from it. I'm using it as an extra retirement account on top of my teacher's pension and state pension and things that I will also be getting. And into that I pay £75 a month, so that's £450 so far this year, which works out at about $606. That money also gets a 25% match on it, so there's an additional £112.50 that goes into that I haven't paid for out of my own pocket. So everything that has gone into my LISA account so far this year, I can't read my own handwriting, comes to £562.50, which is about $758. So my grand total of savings and investments from my regular payments is £1,012.50, around $1,365. There we are. We got through that section. Now let's talk about my savings challenge. Again, there is a whole video on this. I will try to remember to link it in the description. I think it's I say a recent one. I haven't been on here that recently, but I think it's maybe the one before the budget video. The savings pot is for moving costs. We've been toying with the idea of moving house for a number of years now, probably a good few years. It's just that we would like a little bit more space. I would like a little bit more garden. We would like to live somewhere that's not on a busy main road if possible. And we also want to live somewhere smaller. We live in a smallish city and it's just not where we want to be anymore. So we found a couple of areas that we'd be happy to move to, and we also know how much the particular kind of property that we're looking for, how much that's going to cost us, how much we would have to increase our mortgage by, etc. We've done all of those. At the moment, fairly basic calculations. We have worked out that we are going to need at least 10 grand in moving costs. We don't want to take that from any other funds, any other savings and investments and things. Like the things that I've just been telling you about, we don't want to take it from any of those pots. So the pots that I have talked about, the savings and investments that I've talked about, those are all like my personal pots of money that I'm growing, and my other half has his kind of equivalent pots of money, and we have a joint account for household stuff and emergencies and bills and all of that kind of thing. So we feel like we've taken care of the things that we need to take care of. We have these savings and investment pots that are just growing there in the background and that are predominantly for the future. We don't want to touch them. We don't want to touch them to pay for these moving costs. So what we're trying to do is to get as much money together as possible so that the majority, it doesn't matter if it's not quite all of it, but the majority, the main bulk of the moving costs, the stamp duty, the conveyancing fees, estate agents' fees if we use an estate agent, just all of that stuff, the main bulk of it can be paid for from a pot that we are starting to save into. And I decided that this year I wanted to contribute £1,000 to that pot on top of all of my regular savings and investments. And I outlined 3 different ways that I was going to try and do that. The first one was going to be just selling decluttered items out of my own house, because there's a lot of those items in my house taking up space, but that have enough value that it is worth putting some effort in to get them listed. The other thing that I was going to try and do is remember when I'm buying something to purchase it through a cashback website such as Quidco and Top Cashback. I think those are the 2 that I've got accounts with. And then the third way that I was going to try and do it is just increase my income so that I could also set up a regular payment into this savings pot every month as well. And I have not done very well at all. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's a nervous laugh. Okay, that was a nervous laugh because I'm confessing I haven't done brilliantly well. I know that some of you in the comments of that video said that you were going to try and do something similar. Please let me know how you've got on. I want to hear the good stories as well as maybe the ones like mine that are not that brilliant. If it's £1,000 in a year, you would think that I would be aiming for about £500 at this point, that I should be about halfway there. I have saved some. I have saved into this particular account £285.50, which is about $385. Not quite halfway, and we're halfway through the year. I wanted to try and keep it at a steady £80 to £100 a month, and that has not happened. Let me tell you where that £285 has come from. It has predominantly, as in probably about 280 of it, has come from selling decluttered items. It's mostly come from Vinted, some from a personal eBay account. There has been, I think, 2 lots of books and DVDs that I've sent off to Ziffit, and I can't remember, they weren't big amounts. I think they might have been like £10 each or something like that. I started off the year really strongly. The first 3 months I think I did pretty well, and then I really just tailed off with the listing things. I don't know if I just got a bit bored of it or I got distracted by other things, wasn't really checking in with the challenge. However, I have got plans to get listing again over this summer period, because most of my online income takes a bit of a dip, a nosedive in some cases, but definitely a bit of a dip over the summer. And I think this will be a really good opportunity to get a load of things listed so that hopefully they sell over or in the run up to Christmas. I do still think that £1,000 is doable. I am going to stick at it. I should say that I think about £5 or £6 did come from a Quidco payout. That takes or can take a little bit of time to tick over into being ready to pay out. And as for increasing my income, well, if you're in my Substack membership, you will know that, again, I think that might have been a nervous laugh, that has not been going particularly well this year. I've been fairly stable, everything's been fairly even, and I have just about made enough money, but I was meant to be growing my income this year, and that's the thing that just hasn't quite clicked into gear yet. I won't talk about that here though, because I talk about that there. There's a link to my Substack in the description box below if you want to go and check out the types of content that I put out into my membership. I would advise, I would advise looking at it on desktop rather than just on your phone, because you get more of a sense of everything that's already on there. I think there's about 100 pieces of content on there at the moment that you can access as soon as you join up. Anyway, that's beside the point at the moment. So my grand total then of everything I've saved and invested, let's get back to that, 6 months. So this is including the savings challenge and all of my regular payments. My grand total is £1,298. £1,298, about £1,300, which is about $1,750. I thought, what else can I tell you about? How else can I make this video interesting? I have calculated, first of all, my monthly average. So on average, I'm saving and investing £216. That's $291. £216 a month. I thought I would look at the compounding effect of that to see what that £216 a month could actually get me in the long term. So heading towards my retirement, or kind of at my retirement age, which for the purposes of this, I'm setting at 65. I think probably for me, I'm one of those people that's likely to always do a little something in retirement, but I'm just going to go with a classic, or what was the standard retirement age of 65, but unfortunately isn't for my generation. Anyway, we'll go with 65, retiring at 65. Before I do this, I am just going to say right now, I completely understand that I've got some of this money in premium bonds which doesn't earn interest, other things in investments which earn or are likely to earn more interest than in savings, and all of that stuff. I'm really simplifying it down to some bare bones here, and so it all won't work out exactly like I'm suggesting it might. I get that, but I'm determined to keep this simple. So let's say £216 invested every month for 20 years, which will take me to age 65. Let's go for a return of 7%, compounding interest at 7%. The reason why I'm using 7% is that is the classic number that people use, the classic interest rate that people use for investments, simply because if you look back over the stock market, particularly in the US, not so much in the UK, but particularly in the US, the stock market on average grows by 10%, or certainly it used to. And then people knock off 3% for inflation and use 7% as their rough estimate for this type of thing. So that's what we're going with here. That would give me, in 20 years time, that would give me £113,176, which is about $152,000. If we then look at what that would give me per year on a 4% drawdown, again, people use 4% when they're making this calculation and consider it, generally speaking, as a safe average drawdown number. So that means the percentage of your money that you are taking out every year. So that amount of money in 20 years with a 4% drawdown, when I get to age 65, I would get £4,527 a year, which divided by 12 is £377 a month. And that makes me feel amazing that if I get to retirement age and I have that amount of money in an investment account and I can pay myself £377, I can basically withdraw £377 every month, or I can withdraw about 4,500 a year. That is going to be a really excellent boost to my state pension, to my incredibly tiny private pension, and to my teacher's pension. Amazing. I'll be really happy with that. Now, the next thing I did was sort of do that calculation, but do it with my retirement age at 70. So an extra 5 years of adding to the pot and not taking from it. So £216 then per month for 25 years to get me to age 70. That then gets me, and this is at 7% still, that then gets me £175,996, which is about $237,000. That on a 4% drawdown would bring me £7,040 per year, which would give me £587 a month to top up any other income that I've got. Again, feeling pretty good about my £216 a month. This is why I do this, because I am not in a position where I can save loads of money at the moment. This acts as a really good reminder that even the small amounts that I am managing to do, if I can save and invest them and essentially leave as much of it alone as possible, I will get a really fantastic boost when it comes to my 60s, 70s and beyond. I've also done these calculations a second time, and I've done them at an interest rate of 5% rather than 7%. And the reason why I've done that is partly just wanting to be a little bit cautious about these calculations. And also at the moment, 5% growth is what both of my investment accounts are giving me at the moment. I will put an article on my Substack about this, and I will make these calculations that I'm showing on screen, I will make those available to all of my subscribers, not just my members. So make sure you are at least signed up to my Substack so that you're on the mailing list, even if you don't pay to subscribe. Right, these calculations then at 5%, £216 per month for 20 years, retiring at 65 at a 5% rate this time rather than 7%, will give me £89,153. A 4% drawdown on that would give me £3,566 per year, so £297 per month would be my kind of top up on everything else that I have. And £216 per month for 25 years, retiring at 70 rather than 65, at 5% rather than 7%, would bring £129,166. A 4% withdrawal on that would be £3,566 per year. A 4% drawdown or withdrawal from that would be £5,167 per year, or about £430 per month. So I hope that that is interesting, and I hope that it is also motivating if, like me, you are having your struggles with saving and investing. Those numbers that I've just given you are really, those are investing numbers rather than the like savings. You're not going to get savings rates like that anymore, or certainly not for the foreseeable future. And that is why, for me, because I have got emergency funds and things like that in place, for me it makes more sense to put more of my money into investments than I do into savings. So if you look at my regular savings and investments that go out, where are we? You can see, so it's £50 into savings and £100 into investment vehicles. And that just is what makes sense for me at the moment, because some of the, like the, almost like the first and second level stuff of just making yourself feel safe and secure has pretty much been taken care of. I mean, I think even if you think it is taken care of, there's always a little kind of worry here and there that creeps into things, but generally speaking, that is taken care of. And so for me, I'm still putting a bit of money into cash savings, and the rest is going into investments. So like I said, I will write all of this up into an article. My members get my YouTube videos early anyway. I will write this information into the article underneath, and for those of you that are just my subscribers and not my members, I will make sure that the main bulk of the post of the written material is available, is free for everyone, for all my subscribers, and then obviously the early access video will be for everyone. So you should be able to, or I should be able to, put a link into the description box of this video, and if you click on that link and you subscribe to my mailing list, which is essentially my Substack, you can get all of these graphics and things in that article, just in case you want to refer to them again, or you want to try and work out some of the calculations for yourself. I will show my workings in that article, so you can work all of this future stuff out on the basis of any money that you are putting into investments and savings and so on. So let me know if that was interesting or useful in some way. I will be back again soon, I think probably with the budget video first, but I have got some ideas for some other money / making money online videos for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you have any polite and curious questions, then drop those in the comments box as well, and I will see you again, hopefully a bit sooner this time.